Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our mayor, Buddy Dyer.
Good morning, Orlando. It is so good to be with you to deliver this annual report on the state of our city. So, friends, let's get right to it. It is an incredible time to be part of our Orlando community. We work together to build one of America's premier 21st century cities, a modern melting pot where we create unmatched quality of life, where we expand opportunity for everybody, and where we embody the uniquely American ideal that success doesn't depend on being born into wealth or privilege. It doesn't depend on what you look like or who you love or where you worship. It depends on effort, it depends on merit, and it depends on opportunity. That's the promise of America. That's the promise of Orlando. That is exactly the promise of our Orlando. Every day in everything we do, we put that promise into practice. We've done it right, we've done it together. That's why we're the envy of so many other communities. That's why so many people are moving here, investing here, pursuing their dreams here. You can't Google a best cities list without seeing the city beautiful. For the third year in a row, Orlando is the very best city in America to start a business. We're among a handful of U.S. cities to make the top 100 cities in the world annual listing. We're America's second-ranked foodie city. How about that? We're also recognized as the #2 city in America for recreation, and we're among an elite group of A-list cities across the globe that are recognized for our actions to fight climate change. So we've come so far, and we have so much to be proud of, but we can't rest on our laurels. We have more work to do. And the good news is that this work is a labor of love that we all share in. And when we talk about the promise of Orlando, it's not this indefinable thing that's out there in the ether. The promise of Orlando, Cassandra Mate, is unbelievably real. We can see and experience it in ourselves and in one another. The promise of Orlando is hundreds, thousands, no, tens of thousands of individual stories that are being written in our community every single day. And those stories, our stories, are the measurement of the state of our city. And today, we're going to share a few of those stories as we take stock of both the successes and the challenges of our modern Orlando. Our first story centers on our most important job, keeping our community safe. Meet Orlando Police Officer Arcelis de la Cruz. Officer de la Cruz is a school resource officer at Sunblaze Elementary in Lake Nona. Teachers and parents and students can't say enough about what she means to their school community. The school's librarian describes her as patient and kind, dedicated to helping kids work through their serious issues, all the way down to something as simple as helping them learn to tie their shoes. Just a few years ago, we didn't have an Officer de la Cruz in every single one of our schools. But this city council, in response to Parkland and increased school shootings across the country, prioritized city funding to make certain that there was an OPD officer in every single school in Orlando all day, every day. So please join me in recognizing Officer De La Cruz and all of our OPD officers at our schools and all of the police that protect our neighborhoods and businesses. So our commitment to student safety is part of a larger mission to make sure our first responders are well-funded, well-trained, and constantly innovating in terms of training, technology, and tactics. A great example of this is our new community response team. As part of our modern, equity-driven approach to safety, we conducted more than 40 listening sessions with our residents. Our residents ask us to reimagine the way law enforcement responds to mental health crises and substance abuse. So the city partnered with Aspire Health Partners to build an entirely new team of first responders who are behavioral health experts. So instead of a traditional law enforcement response, this new team is dispatched to give immediate help to nonviolent individuals experiencing a behavioral crisis, and then along with follow-up support services. In just over 2 years, the team has responded to 2,000 service calls, and by doing so, they help save more than 2,200 hours of police time. And that's valuable time that our sworn officers are now able to spend on patrol or conducting community policing work. The program has been so successful that we recently expanded it, adding an in-house clinician who's able to triage calls at our 911 center. And through the support of our philanthropic partner, the Ballmer Group, we've hired staff to create an equitable outcomes team to expand the program. Another illustration of how we're innovating to respond to safety challenges is a strategic reorganization of OPD that Chief Smith instituted when he was sworn in. By restructuring the department, we've been able to increase the number of police officers taking calls and patrolling our streets by 20%. All of these are important reasons why we've experienced a 22% decrease in shootings and a 7% decrease overall in violent crime. As always, we can't rest on our laurels, and that's why we're pursuing funding for an additional 20 new officers and 8 911 dispatchers in our next fiscal year. Our commitment to the highest levels of innovation and training also extends to the Orlando Fire Department. Our next story is an incredible example of how training saves lives. OFD Lieutenant Benjamin Wootson was taking his son to soccer practice a few months ago. He saw a patrol car of a Seminole County Sheriff's deputy who was suffering a medical emergency crash into an overpass. He raced to the accident, pulled the deputy out of the car, and it was just seconds before that car was engulfed in flames. Lieutenant Wootson remains humble about the whole experience, crediting a decade of experience and God for putting him in the right place at the right time. But we don't need to be humble about this real-life hero and our fire department full of heroes. For more than 15 years, our fire department has earned an accreditation that places it among the most elite departments in the entire country, ensuring our residents and visitors have the best fire protection anywhere. Please join me in thanking Lieutenant Wootson and all the members of OFD for what they do every day. The promise of Orlando is about creating an environment where opportunity abounds, a place where if you're willing to work hard and play by the rules, anything is possible, anything. Every day in our city, entrepreneurs are turning dreams into reality, from tech startups to food trucks to retail pop-ups, to hundreds of small businesses that reside in our Main Street districts, to the next unicorn. These dreamers are why we earn the title as the best city in America to start a business. And one of those dreamers is Henry Moso of Kabuki Sushi. By the way, we just celebrated Trey, my oldest son's Trey's birthday at Kabuki on Monday, Henry. Just a few years ago, 22-year-old Henry chose Orlando as the place he wanted to open a restaurant that would showcase his unique take on sushi. He took advantage of the city's small business program to expand his location on East Colonial. Henry's here with us today, fresh off the news that he's the city's very first, listen to this, very first finalist for the prestigious James Beard Award. Kabuki is just one of the restaurants that's helped Orlando forge a new reputation as a foodie destination. Anyone want to take a guess what the following restaurants have in common? Domu, Otto's High Dive, The Strand, Maxine's on Shine, The Pinery, Eat a Boy, Hawkers and Juju. They have all received prestigious Michelin recognition, with Cadence being awarded the Michelin star. And all these restaurants that I just listed reside in our city's Main Street districts. Our Main Streets are neighborhood commercial districts that the city funds with a match from the businesses in the area. And we've now grown to include a dozen distinct districts across our city. Our investment has helped more than 1,500 new businesses launch, with more than 10,000 jobs created. And perhaps even more important, these hyper-local businesses have added the unique character to many of our neighborhoods and become the soul of our city. Another great example of how entrepreneurs are living out the promise of Orlando is our friends in Kalumi. Their team had an idea of making eco-friendly, low-voltage lighting systems made from 100% recycled materials that use 80% less energy and last twice as long. With help from our Raleigh Social Enterprise Accelerator, which celebrates its 5th anniversary, by the way, they turned this idea into a business, and their lights are now being piloted in our city garage with a vision of helping governments and businesses across the country save energy and money. Kalumi helps the city achieve our LEED Gold status and is one more reason why we are the greenest city in the Southeast, fueled by our partnership with OUC. The vision for piloting innovation in Orlando is the driving force behind Lake Nona, our community's very own living laboratory. Orlando's fastest growing region is home to the global headquarters of Beep, who has long operated the country's largest and longest autonomous shuttle route. And now, in partnership with Lynx, we will soon expand Beep to downtown's Creative Village. SimCom came to Lake Nona hoping to see what the future of American cities looked like, and then chose to put its headquarters in Orlando. They're expanding into a brand new home where the aviation training facility will welcome 10,000 pilots every year to Orlando's growing aerotropolis that also includes our world-class airport and the brand new Terminal C. The USTA, the world's largest tennis campus, hosted for the first time ever all 3 divisions of the NCAA tennis championships. And Lake Nona's developer Tavistock is investing $30 million in startups based in the Lake Nona area to make it the Silicon Valley of sports. And part of that accelerator that funds the growth of early stage sports and health tech startups was used in 2020. Dr. Tommy Shavers, former captain of the UCF football team, go Knights, charge on. Well, Dr. Shavers applied to have his fledgling company, Nestry Health and Performance, take part in the accelerator. Dr. Shavers and his team are on a mission to revolutionize fitness from the neck up with a focus on cognitive performance. Nestry was one of 6 startups selected out of more than 400 applicants to participate in the inaugural U.S. cohort. The Accelerate helped them attract funders from the worlds of pro football and other major sports. Nestry's story is important for many reasons. The most important might be that it's another powerful example of a young company that started here, grew with the help of our support ecosystem, and then decided to stay in Orlando, grow in Orlando, and succeed in Orlando. Dr. Shavers and his team are here today. Please help them congratulate these Knights, along with all Lake Nona's innovators. The Medical City and larger Lake Nona Innovation Cluster didn't happen overnight. Not too long ago, it was a collection of cow pastures, but a handful of visionaries looked with some giant ideas, and it was intentionally designed and built from scratch and anchored with clusters of excellence in well-being, sports and performance, education and technology. It took partnership and perseverance. We're using that same partnership-driven formula that brought Lake Nona into existence to build and grow our innovation economy at downtown's Creative Village. If you joined us this past fall for our State of the Downtown event, you got to see the UCF and Valencia downtown campus, how it's bringing life to Creative Village. You got to see the new East Coast home of Electric Arts, a state-of-the-art facility where more than 850 tech workers earn an average annual salary of $135,000. Creative Village is a big reason why the highest concentration of game development licenses in the entire country are right here in Central Florida. It's also why we are the fastest growing U.S. city for IT talent and the second fastest for IT worker salaries. With our density of talent in areas like modeling and simulation, gaming, AR, VR, Orlando is ground zero for the next generation of the digital experience. And that's why we stood together in the fall to declare Orlando is the Meta Center. And later this year, our downtown will host the very first Meta Center Global Week, which is an opportunity to bring together global brands like Amazon, Google, Meta, Sony, and dozens of others with our regional companies. And we want to share a message to anyone out there who has a dream of starting a business. We're not done when it comes to shaping Orlando as America's premier community for opportunity. And we want you to join us to keep our momentum going. We've committed $7.5 million to support programs to help businesses start and grow in Orlando. We're also hyper-focused on supporting the growth of minority-owned small businesses and entrepreneurs to the opportunities with the city. In fact, last year, minority-owned businesses received $30 million in contracts with the city, 37% going to Hispanic-owned firms, more than 60% to Black-owned firms, and 29% to women-owned firms. Earlier this month, the City of Orlando's Minority Business Enterprise team accepted the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Central Florida's Supplier Diversity Award. We could not be prouder of the work our city team has done on this front to support our small business. And as we work together to build the companies and careers of tomorrow, we also want to make sure that those careers are filled with Orlando students of today. A key part of that plan is our Orlando Kids Zone. That connects our city's young people with academic support, mentoring, health and wellness programs, job skills, and eventually a pathway to succeed in that all-important first job for teenagers. Last week, we graduated more than 100 high school seniors from the Orlando Kids Zone. The success of these young residents is why we've expanded our children's zone from Paramore to include Holden Heights, Mercy Drive, and Englewood. And here's a great stat. In 2021, the Paramore Kids Zone served 357 young residents. Now through our Orlando Kids Zone, we're serving more than 1,700 students. And this summer, here's the most important part of it, we're going to connect more than 700 students with summer jobs. How about that? The promise of Orlando is the shared belief that our city is better when everyone does better. Opportunity doesn't belong to a particular zip code. It belongs to all of us. But so often, being in a position of advantage, to take advantage of an opportunity, requires getting a break, a chance Not a handout, but a hand up. Meet Calvin Thomas. Just a few years ago, Calvin was living on the streets with only a backpack to his name. He never imagined being in that situation, but that's where he was. Calvin learned about an initiative from First Step Staffing that helps those who are living on the streets with things like background checks and interviews and the often intimidating application process to find work. They helped Calvin find a job, a position on a City of Orlando maintenance crew. That job, that opportunity, allowed Calvin to forge his own path out of homelessness and hopelessness. And a while back, I had a chance to work a shift with Calvin. I go out and work with city employees every once in a while just to make sure they can still do their jobs better than I can, which is always the case. But when you hear Calvin tell his story, you understand how real the power and dignity is that comes from work and from opportunity. And it also makes you realize that those who are homeless or living on the edge are not nameless, faceless individuals to be ignored. They're people. They're people just like you and me, with their own stories and their own struggles. They deserve compassion, they deserve respect, and above all, they deserve a community that doesn't give up on them. Our partnership with First Step Staffing has put that idea into action. Since 2021, they've helped place more than 280 of our residents into jobs. We'd be delighted if you would recognize both Calvin and the team from First Step Staffing. To help more residents like Calvin, last fall we launched an initiative to invest the city's funding from the American Rescue Plan Act to address two of the most complex and intertwined challenges in our region: homelessness and affordable housing. We call this Accelerate Orlando because our focus on these important issues wasn't new. Rather, what was new was the opportunity to leverage $58 million in federal funding to make a once-in-a-generation investment to work with our partner service providers to accelerate these efforts. Through Accelerate Orlando, we're investing in the Christian Service Center, Salvation Army, and Coalition for the Homeless, among others, to modernize their campuses to better serve those experiencing homelessness. Alongside Accelerate Orlando, it's important to note that we've made great strides in placing more than 1,600 people in our region into permanent supportive housing, with 97% remaining in those homes. But there's more work to be done to address the evolving face of homelessness and the needs of our most vulnerable neighbors. New data shows that the rising cost of housing is the largest driver of homelessness, both here in Orlando and across the country. And no city government, no regional collection of governments anywhere can solve these challenges alone. But our city can bring resources and partners to the table to develop shared solutions to our shared challenges. That's why we recently unveiled an action plan that establishes bold goals to reduce the number of unsheltered residents in our city by 50% and ensure that no child sleeps on the streets of Orlando. Okay, so the most effective way to move the needle on reducing the number of residents experiencing homelessness in our city is to create and preserve additional housing units for residents at all income levels. Accelerate Orlando and our action plan will work in tandem with our ongoing efforts to bolster our housing inventory. Back in 2015, the City of Orlando purchased 7 blighted and neglected multifamily communities in the Mercy Drive and Washington Shores areas, with the goal of transforming these properties into safe, affordable housing. We knew that it would take many partners and a deep commitment to these neighborhoods to revitalize these properties. But we made a promise to the residents in those neighborhoods that we would do it. A powerful example of that partnership and promise is Lift Orlando and their work in this historic West Side neighborhoods. In recent years, that was renamed by the residents Communities of West Lakes. Lift took up the mission of investing $65 million to develop the first 2 of those properties. into new, vibrant, beautiful mixed-income communities for both families and seniors. LIFT's holistic, place-based approach to strengthening neighborhoods has helped find and fund solutions around housing, healthcare, and early learning. Moreover, it's helped change people's lives for the better. One of those lives is Sheila Caldwell's, or as everybody who knows her, Miss Sheila. A few years ago, Miss Sheila suffered a stroke. Serious health challenges put her in a difficult spot when it came to being able to afford a safe, quality place to live. With the help of some friends and Good Samaritans, she was able to find an apartment at Pandana Senior Residence, along with care that allowed her to get back on her feet. Today, Miss Sheila is the shining light of her senior community. She takes out her neighbors' trash, she goes to the grocery store for them, she plans dinners, field trips, walks for everyone, and recently she took a group of seniors on a sunrail tour of our region. Miss Sheila's happy story might not have happened if not for the incredible collection of residents who have worked together to expand housing options to everyone. Miss Sheila and the Lift Orlando team are with us today. Please join me in recognizing them. We talked about the city making a promise back in 2015 when we purchased those blighted and neglected properties. We're elated to share that just a few weeks ago, the final redevelopment of those parcels, Fairlawn Village, opened with 116 units for working families and another 20 units dedicated to permanent supportive housing. Today, that original investment has returned us 16-fold and resulted in the creation of 600 new units. Equally impressive, since the city made a commitment to double down on our housing in 2015, the city has supported and championed the construction or rehabilitation of more than 3,100 housing units, either completed, in progress, or planned. Every home matters, every unit matters, and that's why the city will continue to forge partnerships with public, private, not-for-profit, and civic communities to bring additional housing to our city. Okay, so earlier we described Orlando as a modern melting pot where we create unmatched quality of life. Why is quality of life so central to everything we aspire to be? It's pretty simple, really. Our quality of life is high. When our quality of life is high, it creates a ripple effect that permeates through every part of our city. It's the driving force behind our collective success and progress. To underscore the connection between quality of life and our economy, a new study just named Orlando the top city in America for remote workers. Okay, no, that wasn't applause. I was just letting that sink in because I didn't know what that meant when somebody told me. So what it means is workers that can live anywhere because they're not tied to the location of their job, they're choosing to live in Orlando. How about that? So through that lens, the promise of Orlando, the future of Orlando, must center around prioritizing a quality of life that is second to none. For many of us, superior quality of life starts with having great public amenities. And that's why we're investing in parks of the future, intergenerational neighborhood spaces that have something for everyone in a family or an extended family. That includes Prince Hall Park in Richmond Heights with playgrounds and what we call tables of connection, picnic tables that are solar powered, shaded, and outfitted with Wi-Fi hotspots and charging stations. That includes Poitras Park in Lake Nona with a splash pad, and yes, there will be pickleball courts. And that also includes Commander Drive Park in our Cimarron corridor with fitness stations and our playground for everyone, which has wheelchair access. Our focus on parks of the future also includes our larger signature parks and biking trails. In just the last 4 years, we've grown our bike trails by close to 70%. And later this month, we'll open our newest regional park in the Packing District in partnership with Dr. Phillips Charities. and will soon begin renovations on our beloved Lake Eola Park. So when we talk about everyone in our families, we're also focused on seniors. And the idea is central to our new initiative, Livable Orlando. Over the next 4 years, our initiative will focus on improving the built and social environment to equitably enhance the lives of Orlando residents of all ages. That includes the city's first ever age-friendly livability plan by and for our seniors, which includes expansion of services for 55-plus residents at our neighborhood centers, including Jackson, Grand Avenue, Ivy Lane, Rock Lake, and Dover Shores, and refurbishing El Claudia Allen, Rosemont, Callahan, College Park, Beardall, and Englewood. So superior quality of life also means having access to world-class sporting events, concerts, festivals, and the performing arts, right here in our shared backyard. We're fortunate to have great teams and partners, the Orlando Magic, Orlando City Soccer, the Orlando Pride, the Solar Bears, the Greater Orlando Sports Commission, the Florida Citrus Sports, and Dr. Phillips Center. With their support, we've built a community that can and does host any event in the world. And these events activate and energize our downtown and our other cultural corridors. They provide a huge boost to our economy and support our businesses large and small. And when it comes to the power of events, we can't pat ourselves on the back and say we're done. Orlando is one of the fastest growing communities in America. The demand for sports and entertainment in Orlando will only grow. The opportunity for us to attract more events, bigger events, new types of events will only grow. There's a future out there, and I already say this, but some people think it's in the future, where Orlando is America's premier sports and entertainment destination. And to make that future a reality, we must plan and prepare now. We have to partner together. We have to invest now. And that's why we support the use of tourist development taxes to maintain and expand our venues, Mayor Demings. Creating a city with unmatched quality of life means expanding transportation options so that our residents aren't 100% reliant on their cars. In partnership with regional governments, we just broke ground on the northern expansion of Sunrail to DeLand. This fall, Brightline will launch service between Orlando International Airport and South Florida. And we're working with all of our regional partners to help develop a Brightline route that will connect us to Tampa. And we remain committed to connecting Sunrail to the airport, to the convention center, and expanding service to the weekends. Creating a city with unmatched quality of life also means our commitment to inclusion must be unwavering. For years, Orlando has been a leader in establishing programs, partnerships, and services for the LGBTQ+ community. From the first domestic partner registry to adding gender identity to the city's anti-discrimination policies. 7 years ago, after the Pulse tragedy, we showed the world what it means to love and support our LGBTQ neighbors in the face of unimaginable hate. Our love and support isn't tied to one horrific act or one point in time. We must show it every single day. And right now, it's more important than ever that we make it known that Orlando will always be a city that prioritizes compassion and inclusion, a community that encourages everyone to be their authentic selves. And we will showcase this in October at our annual Come Out with Pride Festival. And of course, there are many other marginalized and vulnerable communities. 50 years ago, the city of Orlando was one of the first governments in the Southeast to create an Office of Human Relations to prioritize fighting discrimination. 20 years ago, the city launched OLA, the Hispanic Office of Local Assistance, that provides jobs, healthcare, and educational services to bilingual residents and newcomers to Central Florida. That shared fight against racism, discrimination, and anti-Semitism is both central to our quality of life and more important than ever. We want every LGBTQ resident and every person who calls Orlando home to know that your mayor, your city council, and your city will always have your back. So we have heard some incredible stories about the promise of Orlando, and I would like to close with one more. Ed Peterson is a City of Orlando planning tech who has dedicated his professional life to the residents of our city for the last 22 years. Ed is also a massive Jeopardy fan. And for decades, he's dreamed about competing on the show. And recently, that dream came true. And happenstance, tonight, we'll all get to see Orlando's own Ed Peterson on Jeopardy. How about that? Wow, Ed, I think that got the biggest buzz of the whole event. Ed hasn't shared with us how he did, so we'll all be surprised. Ed is also a member of an incredible team at the City of Orlando, dedicated professionals who go out beyond for our residents every single day. I have the honor and the privilege to work alongside of them as they deliver the best city services anywhere. So while we're at it, please join me in thanking and recognizing our city family. So there are so many people that we need to thank as we finish up. So we can't possibly name everybody in this room. So I'm going to recommend a few in particular, and please stand when we say your name, and it's appropriate to go ahead and applaud for every one of them rather than hold your applause to the end. So District 1, Commissioner Jim Gray. District 3, Commissioner Robert Stewart. District 4, Commissioner Patty Sheehan. District 5, Regina Hill. And District 6, Bakari Burns. We have some other partners who are with us today. The best partner we've ever had at Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings and the Orange County Commissioner. State Rep Anna Escamani. State Rep LaVon Bracey Davis. I can see Scott Randolph sitting there, although he's not on my list. And if there's any other elected officials that I can't see out there, would you please stand and be recognized as well? Okay, how many of you, this is the first time you've been in this facility, this venue? Quite a few. It's a fabulous facility nestled here on the lake. I saw a baseball opera here Friday night that was fantastic with Opera Orlando. So we want to say a word about these incredible facilities and our host today, Harriet's Orlando Ballet. Thank you for sharing the venue. Okay, so you know that I was born here and I grew up not too far from here in Kissimmee. So I've experienced our Orlando community in just about every stage of life you can have, from my youth to my applying for Social Security this year. So I've been a young professional here. I've been a father of young boys, later a father of adult children. But I think I'm most excited about this next phase in my life. So my wife, Susie, is with us. Susie. But also my son, Trey, and his wife, Hannah. And Trey and Hannah are going to make us grandparents for the first time in August. How about that? So it has truly been an honor to deliver this annual update on the state of the city. If we could leave with one thought, it's this: that in communities across America, people are desperate to reclaim their past success. Not here in Orlando. In Orlando, we're proud of our history and all of our accomplishments, but we are fully focused on our future. We know that our best days are ahead of us, and that's why we choose collaboration and partnership over partisanship and division. And that's because we welcome everyone to take part in the incredible city that we're building together. That's because of the promise of Orlando. And because of that promise, the state of our city is as strong as it's ever been. Thank you, and God bless America, and God bless the city of Orlando.
Thank you for attending Mayor Dyer's 2023 State of the City Address. Please join us in the lobby and on the patio for refreshments, and don't leave without a gift from Black Bee Honey.